तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll continue our second canto, chapter 1 discussion. So anybody remembers anything?
Yeah, Mataji.
Yeah.
Sorry. 1 second.
Oh, okay, 1 minute. I dropped some water. 1 second. Yeah, Rashmi, 1 minute.
Yeah, Mataji. So basically, this is in the first canto, 19th chapter, Parishit Maharaj asked 2 questions. So Sukadev Goswami is answering that in this chapter. His question is what is the complete perfection, and what one should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and what one should not do. I think those were 2 questions. And Sukadev Goswami, in the beginning of the verses that we read so far, he's explaining about first of all, he says this is so glorious questions that you have asked. And from the verse 2 to 4, I think he starts with answering what all things we should not do. And in that category, the first thing he clarifies about who a grahastha and grahamedi, what we should not be a grahamedi. Grahamedi is who is very much into his material life, and who is just thinking about his own family members and his extended family, very selfish. And the only so we should not be like that. And he hears everything other than Krishna. He's busy hearing every other thing other than Krishna.
Yeah.
And the solution for this is it is just to hear about Lord's name, form, and pastimes. And so, and not to be like Grahamedi. We should be and also further again, Grahamedi is how they pass their life, in the daytime they are so busy with just getting material enjoyment, or to take care of the family. They are so busy with the material life, and in the night they just sleep and do sense enjoyment. They do not have anything, they do not want to know anything about the Atma Tattva at all. And in the 4th verse, he concludes by saying, even though he's so much attached to the family that he thinks that his family is infallible soldiers, like so he sees that they will also leave the body and go, but still he doesn't realize. So these are all the things that we should not do. And then from the 5th verse onwards, Sukadev Goswami talks about, okay, what should be chanted and remembered then. So if you want to get mukti from all the miseries, then you must hear, glorify, and remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is also like Paramatma inside of you. And and in the 6th verse, the highest perfection of human life is being explained. It is Ante Narayana Smriti. That means at the end of the life, you have to remember Lord Shri Krishna. So that's how we need to mold our life to remember Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also to in that purport, how we can do this is by associating with pure devotee, and by always hearing and glorifying and remembering we can do this. It is being said. And then and also he says that this there is proof also, like many self-realized sages have taken the pleasure in hearing Harikatha. And later in the 8th and 9th verse, he says himself as an example that I was also Brahman realized, and after hearing Lord's pastime, I got attracted and my heart changed. And at the end of 10th verse, it says, basically hearing Srimad Bhagavatam very attentively and very carefully with full of respect, then only we and from the from the bona fide, like from the proper person, okay, so then only we will develop the unflinching faith towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the Mataji.
And then the constant chanting of the holy.
Yes, yeah. The 11th verse
11th
is,
verse,
final recommendation is the chanting is the only way. Hearing the holy name about and hear first, hearing the holy name, and then about hearing about his forms, attribute, and pastimes. And Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami says, you have to chant loudly and offenselessly, and all the 10 offenses were described from the Padma Purana in that.
Yeah. And then in the next, then all of a sudden, Sukhdev Goswami turned the topic to something different. That he spoke about that a moment's life in Krishna consciousness is better than thousands of years of life living like without Krishna consciousness, right? And why did he spoke that? Because in the previous verses he had mentioned about bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering and worshipping, and always chanting the holy name. So Parikshit Maharaj is overwhelmed that, I just have 7 days. How am I going to achieve that? And then Sukhdev Goswami speaks this verse that a moment's being in Krishna consciousness for a moment is better than living thousands of years of life like trees without Krishna consciousness. That's why Sukhdev Goswami spoke that verse. And then now from verse number 13, he is elaborating on that topic by giving the example of Katvanga Maharaj. Yeah.
Mataji, in verse number 12, it was a very strong point that devotee should try to restrict the vilifier by what is that? Goswami says that one should neither blaspheme the devotee of the Lord nor indulge in hearing others who are engaged in belittling a devotee of the Lord. A devotee should try to restrict.
That most of our problems in spiritual life is because of our disrespect or criticizing devotees. So that is really like it's like we are our neck is on the sword, basically, if we are doing that. So basically, and how to avoid it, the best way is to try to see the the positive in everyone, not only devotee, because then it becomes that habit of seeing the negative, which is very, very difficult actually to do. So, but we need to cultivate that, and I beg for all of your prayers so that I can do it, because I don't think I'm able to control that and left and right and front and backwards and just committing offenses to devotees all the time. Yeah. Yes, that is, the chanting, pure chanting will come only when we avoid these offenses. And also Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that inattentiveness is the cause of all these offenses, the 10 offenses that we see in Padma Purana. So the root cause is inattention. So if we pay attention, then we will develop that taste in the holy name, and then we want to chant more, hear more. So then there is no scope for finding faults and doing all these criticizing or anything. Right? So should we continue to the next verse now?
Correct, Mataji.
1 second, let me share my screen. Krishna Gopita Gopinamo. You can start while I'm just pulling the verse.
Text 13. Katwango Nama Rajas. That's the one, right, Mataji?
Yes, 13, yeah.
Katwango Nama Rajasi Jnyan Veyatma Hiha Yusaha Muhurstat Sarvam Utshrijya Gathavan Abhayam Harim. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The saintly king Katwanga, after being informed that the duration of his life would be only a moment more, at once freed himself from all material activities and took shelter of the supreme safety, the personality of Godhead. Purport. A fully responsible man should always be conscious of the prime duty of the present human form of life. The activities to meet the immediate necessities of material life are not everything. One should always be alert in his duty for attainment of the best situation in the next life. Human life is meant for preparing ourselves for that prime duty. Maharaja Katwanga is mentioned herein as a saintly king because even within the responsibility of the state management, he was not at all forgetful of the prime duty of life. Such was the case with other Raja Rishis, saintly kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Maharaj Parikshit. They were all exemplary personalities on account of their being alert and discharging their prime duty. Maharaj Katwanga was invited by the demigods in the higher planets to fight the demons. As a king, he fought the battles to the fullest satisfaction of the demigods. The demigods, being fully satisfied with him, wanted to give him some benediction for material enjoyment. But Maharaj Katwanga, being very much alert of his prime duty, inquired from the demigods about his remaining duration of life. This means that he was not as anxious to accumulate some material benediction from the demigod as he was to prepare himself for the next life. He was informed by the demigods, however, that his life would last only a moment longer. The king at once left the heavenly kingdom, which is always full of material enjoyment of the highest standard, and in coming down to the earth, took ultimate shelter of the all-safe personality of Godhead. He was successful in his great attempt and achieved liberation. This attempt, even for a moment, by the saintly king was successful because he was always alert to his prime duty. Maharaj Parikshit was thus encouraged by the great Shukadev Goswami, even though he had only 7 days left in his life to execute the prime duty of hearing the glories of the Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. By the will of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit instantly met the great Sukadev Goswami, and the great treasure of spiritual success left by him is nicely mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Okay, you want to say something?
Yeah, Mataji. So it's very clear that all the saintly kings like Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Yudhishthira, and Katwanga Maharaj, they all wanted to perfect their life. So they are they're not in material attachment. They do their duty, and they're always thinking about the next life and how to get liberation and perfection. So he went, Maharaj Katwanga went to help the demigods in the heaven and to fight, and then he did the war successfully, and he won. And then the demigods are asking him what benediction you want, and he wanted to know how much he would live. And then when he came to know that only a moment is left, then immediately he left the heavenly planets, came down and surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and got liberated. So same way, Maharaj Parshit also, once he knows, he wanted to hear the glories of the Lord, and because he is so um, uh, uh, pure and a devotee of the Lord, he got a chance to hear it directly from Shukadev Goswami, and then made perfection of his life.
So yeah, so the main point is one should be always, so this example of Katvanga Maharaj is so important, right? Immediately he left the place where there was enjoyment, right? So the first sentence of the purport of Prabhupada, the fully responsible man should always be conscious of the prime duty of the present human form of life. So very, very important. This point is actually, and I remember in some purports in first canto, we read about being alert about what's going around. And we discussed that actually in multiple places, that how Parikshit Maharaj was always so alert, right? And how even Yudhishthir Maharaj, seeing the surroundings, what is going on, was very alert. And in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada did write that about both devotees and non-devotees, that how non-devotees, they are alert about, their assets and all. So devotee should always be alert about the Krishna consciousness part, right?
Mataji, alert in sense, we are
alert in the sense that, okay, so
when we leave our body, Mataji.
What? Say that again.
When we will leave our body, Mataji.
No, not that alert. Alert means actually our consciousness keeps falling down and rising every moment, right? Many times, so many thoughts are coming in the mind, and then if we contemplate on those thoughts, then we may be doing certain activities which are not favorable for our Krishna consciousness, right? Yeah, in third chapter
But
Bhagavad Gita, towards the end.
And Katvanga Maharaj, they had an opportunity to know when they will die, right, Mataji?
Yeah, but for us, we won't know that.
Yeah.
No. So no, alert, so meaning, okay, so alert actually just does not only mean that, meaning we are always aware that the death can come at any moment, right? So, but this alertness,
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
yeah.
alert that death can come anytime. So be alert.
Yeah, it's not only that alertness. What I am talking about, that in general alertness, because our thoughts keep going, wandering away from Krishna all the time. At least mine does. So I don't know about you all, but mine does. My thoughts keep going, wandering. So we should be alert where what is our surrounding, where is my consciousness going, and I need to bring it back to Krishna again and again and again, right?
Yeah, Mataji, got it.
So many things happen around us, and the mind just does so many things. And we heard in Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, last part, when Arjuna asks the question, what is it that forces one to act in a particular way? And
Lust.
It was lust. And then what does Krishna say? We have to just smash it in the beginning, otherwise the action will come out, right? I mean, the moment, so if we are alert, then we will know what's going in our mind and heart.
Yes, Mataji, got it.
And our surroundings, right? In that sense. So here, so they were all exemplary personalities on account of their being alert in discharging their prime duty. So that is very, very important. I mean, this alertness he's speaking about, doing our devotional services, but at the same time, externally, we are all doing some things, but internally, what is going on? So we need to pay attention to that internal part also. Right? Yeah.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, sure. 14. So that is the section will be over in this one, and then we'll go to the next section. Yeah.
Text 14. Tavapi itarhi kauravya saptaham jivitavadiha upakalpaya tat sarvam tavad yat samparayikam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life. Purport. Sukadev Goswami, after citing the example of Maharaj Khatwanga, who prepared himself for the next life within a very short time, encouraged Maharaj Parikshit by saying that since he still has 7 days at his disposal, he could easily take advantage of the time to prepare himself for the next life. Indirectly, the Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that he should take shelter of the sound representation of the Lord. Representation of the Lord for the 7 days still remaining in the duration of his life, and thus get himself liberated. In other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. The rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter. So I think Sukadev Goswami is telling Maharaj Parikshit, after giving that Maharaj Katwanga example, that he had only one moment, and immediately he took charge of that to hear about Lord. So you have 7 more days, so you can prepare for your next life. And he recommends that take the shelter of sound representation of the Lord for the next 7 days, and which is nothing but Srimad Bhagavatam. And then I think then only he starts reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. And in the last, what Prabhupada is saying is, the rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter. Meaning, I think it's not about rituals, it is more about hearing and being absorbed in the
favorable conditions. So basically, like favorable conditions, so it could be that like there are people chanting or things like that, right? Favorable conditions. So meaning not just this. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying, in other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as it is recited by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. The rituals are not formal, means it's not just a formality, because there are certain rituals done when somebody is to leave the body, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter. So it will come in the coming up verses. So Sukadev Goswami is going to tell a few other things that can be done. So basically these 3 verses that Sukadev Goswami spoke in the end about the a moment of Krishna consciousness is better than thousands of years of non-Krishna conscious life, then Khatwanga Maharaj's example, and then Parikshit Maharaj having 7 days. So because Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee and he is really knowing his real goal of life, he knows what is his duty, but all this he has been asking is actually for all of us. He knows what is his duty and all that, but as Bhagavad Gita was spoken for us, not for Arjun, basically. So this also is for all of us. Krishna wanted to have Bhagavatam for all of us, to the incarnation of Krishna for Kali Yuga. So that is why Parikshit Maharaj is made the instrument in this process. All right, so let's go to those 3 verses just to relieve Parikshit Maharaj of his anxiety about, I just have 7 days only. So that's why Parikshit Maharaj, Sukhdev Goswami spoke like that. All right, so then now the next section is 15 to 39. It is going to speak about Ashtanga Yoga for attaining liberation. So this is like kind of a universal form and all that is going to be described in this section. So let us read. Someone wants to read?
I can read Mataji.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Antakale. Sorry, Janashukran Prabhu.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Antakale tu purush agate gat sadhvasah Chindyat asanga shastrena priyaham dehun yecha tama. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. But one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof. Purport. The foolishness of gross materialism is that people think of making a permanent settlement in this world, although it is a settled fact that one has to give up everything here and that has been created by valuable human energy. Great statesmen, scientists, philosophers, etc., who are foolish, without any information of the spirit soul, think that this life of a few years only is all in all, and that is, there is nothing more after death. This poor fund of knowledge, even in the so-called learned cities of the world, is killing the vitality of human energy, and the awful result is being keenly felt. And yet, the foolish materialistic men do not care about what is going to happen in the next life. The preliminary instruction in the Bhagavad Gita is that one should know that the identity of the individual living entity is not lost even after the end of this present body, which is nothing but an outward dress only. As one changes an old garment, so the individual living being also changes his body, and this change of body is called death. Death is therefore a process of changing the body at the end of duration of the present life. An intelligent person must be prepared for this and must try to have the best type of body in the next life. The best type of body is a spiritual body which is obtained by those who go back to the kingdom of God or enter the realm of Brahman. In the second chapter of this canto, this matter will be broadly discussed, but as far as the change of the body is concerned, one must prepare now for the next life. Foolish people attach more importance to the present temporary life, and that the foolish leaders make appeal to the body and the bodily relations. The bodily relations extend not only to this body, but also to the family members, wife, children, society, country, so many other things which end at the end of the life. After death, one forgets everything about the present bodily relations. We have a little experience of this at night when we go to sleep. While sleeping, we forget everything about this body and bodily relations, although this forgetfulness is a temporary situation for only a few hours. Death is nothing but sleeping for a few months in order to develop another term of bodily engagement which we are awarded by the law of nature according to aspiration. Therefore, one has only to change the aspiration during the course of this present body, and for this there is need of training in the current duration of human life. This training can be begun at any stage of life or even a few seconds before death, but the usual procedure is for one to get the training from very early life, from the stage of brahmacharya, and gradually progress to the grihastha, vanaprastha, and the sannyasa orders of life. The institution which gives such training is called the Varnashrama Dharma, or the system of Sanatana Dharma, the best procedure for making the human life perfect. One is therefore required to give up the attachment to family or social or political life just at the age of 50 years, if not earlier. And the training in the Vanaprastha or in the Sannyasa ashram is given for the preparation of the next life. Foolish materialists in the garb of leaders of the people in general stick to family affairs without attempting to cut off relations with them. Thus they become victims of nature's law and get gross bodies again according to their work. Such foolish leaders may have some respect from the people at the end of life, but that does not mean that such leaders will be immune to the natural laws under which everyone is tightly bound by the hands and feet. The best thing is therefore not that everyone voluntarily gives up family relations by transferring the attachment from family, society, country, and everything thereof to the devotional service of the Lord. It is stated herein that one should give up all the desires of family attachment. One must have a chance for better desires, otherwise there is no chance of giving up such morbid desire. Desire is the concomitant factor of the living entity. The living entity is eternal, and therefore his desires, which are natural for a living being, are also eternal. One cannot therefore stop desiring, but the subject matter for desires can be changed. So one must develop the desires of returning home back to Godhead, and automatically the desire for material gain, material honor, and material popularity will diminish in proportion to the development of devotional service. A living being is meant for service activities, and his desires are centered around such a service attitude. Beginning from the top executive head of the state down to the insignificant pauper in the street, all are rendering some sort of service to the others. The perfection of such a service attitude is only attained simply by transferring the desire of service from matter to spirit, or from Saturn to God. Oh my God. Haribol, this is wonderful purport. Oh.
You want to say something, Prabhu?
Yeah, Mataji, again, this is what we know, but we should keep thinking about it, be alert about it, that this is the ultimate test of our life, is the death. And we have to prepare about our death in advance. We have to cut off the attachments to material body, to our family, to everything material. Because right now in this Kali Yuga, we see that the materialists are building things for material pleasures. These leaders are promising things to the praja, saying that they will make this. Everything is for the material or the sense pleasure, but nothing is being done for the spiritual pleasure. So, even Krishna has created this varnashram dharma so that we can gradually progress towards achieving our ultimate goal, which is going back to Godhead or pure devotional service, so that by 50 years we are giving up our family relations and we are going to Vanaprastha ashram. But again, in this age, it's not that possible to go to Vanaprastha ashram, but we have to start cutting off, like we have to attach more to devotional service, attach to service to Krishna, so that automatically that material attachment will go away. The other thing which I liked here was about our aspirations, our desires. We need to understand to be asking for the ultimate good from the Lord, and not ask for, like if a beggar is going to a very rich person, if he's just asking for grains, then he can be given grains, but that he's not asking for bigger things which the rich person can give. So the same way, if we are asking from God about a big house or a big car, instead of that, if we're asking for pure devotional service, that's where the God will give. That's the biggest thing we can ask for. Biggest thing is we can understand our true purpose of life is that we have been astray from our path. We have been bahirmukha from the Lord. Now we have to show our face back to the Lord and go back from the same door which we came back here. So we have to return back to our original home. So that would be the perfection. And if from the top executive of the state government to the pauper in the street can follow this devotional service, then all our lives will be successful, and it will be truly a Ram Rajya.
Yeah. So I got this one sentence here somewhere. Srila Prabhupada writes here: the foolish people attach more importance to present temporary life. So, like all of us know that this body is temporary and the soul is eternal. So, and we see how much time and energy and attention we are giving to something which is temporary, and how much attention we are giving to what is eternal, right? So that with that analysis, we can try to balance properly, right? It's not that we shouldn't take care of the body, but whatever is necessary. And Srila Prabhupada also writes, death is nothing but sleeping for a few months in order to develop another term of bodily engagement, which we are awarded by the law of nature according to our aspiration. So that aspiration, that desire is very, very important. And Srila Prabhupada, I was listening to one lecture, he says that even this body can be fully spiritualized. There is, if everything and everything completely is used in the service of the Lord, then it can be spiritualized fully spiritualized. Even this material body can be spiritualized. And what he says that this material body means actually that sense, yeah. So, and then if the body is spiritualized, then material action is not, there is no more any material action. Material, and what does material action means? Material action means sense gratification. So basically, if the body, subtle and gross, everything is used in Krishna service, then this body is not anymore material, it is fully spiritualized, and that means there is no sense gratification but gratification of Krishna only, right? Yeah. And also here Srila Prabhupada also writes about desire. One must have a chance for better desires, otherwise there is no chance of giving up such morbid desires. Desire is the concomitant factor of the living entity. So, and in Queen Kunti's prayers also, it is Prabhupada writes in the purport that we cannot give up desire, but what desire? It is that desire and aspiration that makes our next life. So this desire has to be dovetailed to serve Krishna, not our sense enjoyment, right? So that the root cause is that desire, and that desire should be to dovetail to serve Krishna, not our senses to fulfill the needs of the senses. One must develop the desire for returning home back to Godhead, and automatically the desires of material gain, material honor, and material popularity will diminish in proportion to the development of devotional service. Yeah. And I just heard in this context today or sometime I was hearing His Grace Shripada Indra Prabhu's some room conversation, something. So he said that actually by not engaging in devotional services, we are actually giving anxiety to Krishna. Because just like if parents, when they are separated from the child, the parents are in anxiety, right? So if we are engaging in devotional service, it is that like we are compassionate on ourselves, and actually we are giving relief to Krishna that yes, we are on the right path. So it's so amazing, yes. And that is why it is real compassion, because it is giving relief to Krishna. Amazing, na?
Yes, Mataji. Very nice.
Very. And then he says that the queens of Dwarka and the Brahmanas and all those, they were not willing to give the lust of their feet for Krishna's headache to be cured. But the gopis, they immediately are ready to go to hell to give relief to Krishna. So that is how it should be. It was amazing. I was just like, wow. Just such an eye opener. I think I'll hear it again and capture more, but all right. So let's move on.
Bhandaji just wanted to say that purport, it was like poetry, but
Yes.
written so beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada, we are just, I don't think that just saying grateful is a proper word to to express our indebtedness to Krishna and to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Actually, I mean, what I don't ever think that we can ever express our heartfelt emotions in words for what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So one thing that we can do is actually become some instrument in his movement. That is what we can do. Yeah, and actually, I think on Sunday, I wasn't able to join our Fort Lauderdale class by Adigadadar, His Grace Adigadadar Prabhu, because here we had a veg fest on that day, so I couldn't join. But I don't know, recording didn't come yet, right?
I don't know, probably not.
Yeah. I'll ask. So after that, Prabhuji gave class on Atlanta temple, the Sunday feast. So there, somebody asked a question about what should be the mood, and then Prabhuji spoke about that how Srila Prabhupada played the role of Advaita Acharya when he was young, and he was just doing everything, meaning Shaligram Shila, worshipping the Shaligram Shila with Gangajal and Tulsi Manjari, and he was just means as if he's Advaita Acharya. I mean, in exactly like he was calling out for the Lord's appearance. And then when he was to come to America, just before that, he went to Shantipur, which is the place of Advaita Acharya, and there he prayed. And there is a nice article in Back to Godhead magazine about that Pujari, how Srila Prabhupada used to go there and pray to Advaita Acharya for, for being able to fulfill the instruction of his spiritual master, go to West and preach in English language. So then then Prabhuji told that we pray to Advaita Acharya that we can be tiny instruments in the service of Srila Prabhupada. And he was just so emotional. We should all hear that part. Yeah. It was amazing. It was just so heart touching. And today also there was one class and somebody asked a question. So Prabhuji was, I don't know, it was today or somewhere, like I heard from him, I think somewhere today or yesterday. So he was saying, what does it mean?
Yesterday morning, Mataji, I think. Yesterday morning.
To serve spiritual master or serve somebody, what is the best way? So he mentioned that we may not be able to physically serve someone, we may not be able to give money, or we may not be able to physically serve, but the best service is like Srila Prabhupada said something, hear the lecture and apply that in our life. That is the best that will please the spiritual master or the devotee or the Supreme Lord the most, if we take that instruction and follow it nicely. I don't know where I heard it. Just recently,
Mataji, it was yesterday morning, Mataji.
Yesterday morning, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just so mixed up with so many things. All right, so let's read the next verse. We can read a few more. Yeah, someone wants to read?
I can read Mataji.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Grihat pravrajito dhira punya tirtha jala pluta suchau virikta asino vidivat kalpita sane. Translation of Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified. Purport: to prepare oneself for the better next life, one must get out of one's so-called home. The system of Varnashram Dharma or Sanatana Dharma prescribes retirement from family encumbrances as early as possible after one has passed 50 years of age. Modern civilization is based on family comforts, the highest standard of amenities, and therefore after retirement everyone expects to live a very comfortable life in a well-furnished home decorated with fine ladies and children without any desire to get out of such comfortable home. High government officials and ministers stick to their prized posts until death, and they neither dream or desire to get out of homely comforts. Bound by bound by such hallucinations, materialistic men prepare various plans for a still more comfortable life. But suddenly cruel death comes without mercy and takes away the great plan maker against his desire, forcing him to give up his present body for another body. Such a plan maker is thus forced to accept another body in one of the 8,400,000 species of life, according to the fruits of work he has performed. In the next life, persons who are too attached to family comforts are generally awarded lower species of life on the account of sinful acts performed during a long duration of sinful life. And thus all the energy of the human life is spoiled. In order to be saved from the danger of spoiling the human form of life and being attached to unreal things, one must take warning of death at the age of 50, if not earlier. The principle is that one should take it for granted that the death warning is already there, even prior to the attainment of 50 years of age. And thus, at any stage of life, one should prepare himself for the better next life. The system of Sanatan Dharma institution is so made that the follower is trained for the better next life without any chance that the human life will be spoiled. The holy places all over the world are meant for the residential purposes of retired persons getting ready for a better next life. Intelligent persons must go there at the end of life, and for that matter, after 50 years of age, to live a life of spiritual regeneration for the sake of being freed from family attachment, which is considered to be the shackle of material life. One is recommended to quit home just to get rid of material attachment, because one who sticks to family life until death cannot get rid of material attachment. And as long as one is materially attached, one cannot understand spiritual freedom. One should not, however, become self-complacent simply by leaving home or by creating another home at the holy place, either lawfully or unlawfully. Many persons leave home and go to the holy places, but due to bad association, again become family men by illicit connection with the opposite sex. The illusionary energy of matter is so strong that one is apt to be under such illusion at every stage of life, even after quitting one's happy home. Therefore, it is essential that one practice self-control by celibacy without the desire for sex indulgence. For a man desiring to improve conditions of his existence, sex indulgence is considered suicidal, or even worse. Therefore, to live apart from family life means to become self-controlled in the regards of all sense desires, especially sexual desires. The method is that one should have a duty sanctified sitting place made of straw, deer skin, and carpet, and thus be sitting on it one should chant the holy name of the Lord without offense, as prescribed above. The whole process is to drag the mind from material engagement and to fix it at the lotus feet of the Lord. This simple process alone will help one advance to the highest stage of spiritual success. Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhu. You want to share something?
Yeah, I think Prabhupada was talking to me.
Prabhu is talking to all of us.
Over 50 at home, attached to family life,
But still, Prabhu, I mean, in this age, it's not that we should leave home, and
I know.
recommended that actually you can even still be with the wife but practice the
Krishna consciousness.
Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
But it's very, very important. Like Prabhupada said, we have to, the detachment is the most important thing, because you can live family,
Yes.
and then if you're not detached, you'll still engage in nonsense. So the detachment is the most important thing. And we should detach ourselves by engaging more in devotional service. And whether, and I like this one point that he said, live in a holy place. So I guess at least in the association of devotees.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that is important, Prabhu. And I heard from many senior Vaishnavas and even Maharajas, multiple Maharajas, that when we are at that age, we should visit holy places and stay there for some time. It's not that just you go for a week and come back, but stay there for some time. And also, if you want some hard hard smash, there was 2 classes by His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj in the temple on Friday and Saturday morning. So there was a big discussion about this Vanprastha thing. So somebody asked a question that, this detachment part and staying with the family and children and raising grandchildren. So somebody asked a question that, oh, actually, because if the grandparents are there at home, then the children get so many values from them. And then Maharaj says that if they leave home, then large community, why their own grandsons? Why not so many other grandsons and granddaughters? Did you get my point? It was just wow, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, the way he spoke, he just multiple people asked some things like that and they commented like that. And then Maharaj was just detachment, and detachment.
That's a wonderful answer, Mataji.
Yeah, I was just I was laughing, and at the same time, I couldn't understand what to do really, but amazing, the way he spoke was just amazing. Yeah. So basically, that attachment to Krishna, actually, that there is subtle. If we stay with from the point of view of raising grandchildren and all that stuff, there is some subtle kind of attachment is there in that, which we cannot understand actually. Right? So our point is basically to attach more and more to Krishna, then all other attachment we will become detached from. Yeah. So yeah, and definitely that going to holy places and staying there, it really is very helpful. And we see in Vrindavan and Mayapur and all, there are more not so many Indians who stay there in the holy dham, in ISKCON facilities, but other countries devotees, they go there and they stay for so long. Actually, if you go and observe there.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. So the detachment is very important. Yeah. So this sentence is very somehow captured my attention. So here somewhere he says, as long as one is materially attached, one cannot understand spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom. So even though it may look like, oh, I have to get up early and all that stuff, but it is really freedom, basically. It's real freedom is when we are practicing Krishna consciousness. And I think somewhere I read or heard today or yesterday that Srila Prabhupada, he says if we don't get up at 4 o'clock and get ready for Mangalarti, start practicing our devotional services at 4:30, then actually something he said, I forgot that, but he was speaking about that importance of getting up at least at 4, latest by 4 o'clock, he said. So I don't know where will I fall. Dear devotee, somebody has something to say. It's 8:28. But
Like you said, Mata, the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong. So yeah, it's a constant fight,
yeah.
As time will go on,
Yeah.
I mean, you can see what's going to happen. Because
Yeah.
Kali Yuga's influence Kali Yuga is always trying to put you down.
We have to, only hope for us, I mean, I feel, is just holding on to this process, and especially those advanced devotees who always inspire us in getting attached to Krishna and serve devotees, Vaishnavas and Krishna more and more. Just hold on to them. I don't feel any way for myself.
Yeah.
Mataji,
Uh-huh.
I just missed that part, Mataji. For what he said, detachment, Maharaj? What question was that?
Oh, it was like somebody said, like Vanprastha we are speaking about in these verses, Vanprastha and Sannyas, right?
Okay.
Like at the age of 50, one should leave home. So somebody asked a question, should because then the grandchildren will be small at that time when we are 50, then there will be grandchildren or are coming up grandchildren. Then somebody asked, so should the people not stay at the age when they have grandparents to give them good teaching and examples? Then His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, he gave the answer, oh, why only their own grandsons and granddaughters? If they means this is the principle actually, that the principle of detachment after a certain age. So that will be the biggest example for the whole community and whole world actually. So why to set example for their own grandchildren and so on? Why not for the whole world?
That's awesome, Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for repeating, Mataji.
But we don't have to. We shouldn't do anything prematurely. So there is a caution. So we shouldn't do anything prematurely when, under guidance only, we should take such steps. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mataji.
what is 8:31? Huh?
I'm saying it's very important not to make a premature
Yeah.
decisions, because
Yeah.
even Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada, I mean, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's life, Prabhupada went very gradually, even when he went from one ashram
Yeah,
to
he did not.
yes,
Yeah, he did not abruptly do anything. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, and also on this note, I want to share something that came up. We were reading one letter by Srila Prabhupada. In that letter, Srila Prabhupada was writing to one of his disciple. I forgot the name. My memory is too bad. Yesterday only we read that, but I forgot the name. So Srila Prabhupada writes that actually he was writing about that when one is surrendered to the spiritual master, then actually they are like devotees. They are not like committing any of meaning mistakes, and they are not like normal non-devotee kind of people, because there is always criticism of one devotee to other and all that stuff. So in that context, Srila Prabhupada was writing that this disciple of mine is also, he has surrendered to me. So he is also like a pure devotee. And he said that you all should go back to Godhead, meaning with me. Otherwise, I have to come down again to take you. So then we were remembering like how His Holiness Japataka Maharaj, while going through this health issue now again, when he had that procedure and all, and they have been asking everyone to chant their 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles and do Tulsi Puja, Tulsi Parikrama also. So that how important it is to follow our vows that we take at the time of initiation, because the spiritual master takes our karma. And Maharaj, this earlier Maharaj never said that, right, Prabhu and Mataji? He's this time only he's saying that chant your 16 rounds and
So
follow.
he's always emphasized this.
Huh? Always?
He's always because it's the disciples' karmas,
Yeah. So it's very, very important that we follow actually these things nicely, because Because why do we want to trouble our spiritual masters, right? Yeah, I mean, I beg for all of your prayers that I can follow properly and just not be a burden and not give any trouble to any of my spiritual teachers. Yeah, thank you all very much, dear devotees.
Thank you, Mataji.
जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, वांछित कृपा सिंधु